Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I am so happy to be welcoming Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh to the special edition of this week. Doctor, welcome, namaste.
Namaskar.
And while I say I'm so delighted, the reason is when we hear the words coming from experience and insight, that helps us in moving forward towards clarity. And clarity we need on many fronts. But let me go towards vaccine, Dr. Saab, and how do you see India and America in this context of the search as well as offering vaccine to its citizens?
Well, in USA, as you know, that Pfizer vaccine is already rolled out, and a lot of my colleagues are already got that Pfizer vaccine first dose. So I think it's on the roll, and the second vaccine, Moderna, it will be approved by this coming Friday, 3 days from today, and again that vaccine will be start rolling from next Monday. So I think in USA. Quite a few in first phase, quite a few healthcare workers, long-term nursing home residents, and people, those who are seriously affected with the other comorbidity, will be getting this vaccine.
So that brings a sense of hope and kind of feeling that now we are near the end to living a different kind of life, but it's likely to be a long way because by the time everyone gets those, it could be how many months if you anticipate?
I think at least 3 to 4 months or more even, depending upon how. But everyone is not going to get vaccine because people will not take it. So even if 50 to 60% takes it, that's good enough to create some kind of immunity and protect the population.
Now, staying with the reference of vaccine moving towards India, the data financially is suggesting that to administer vaccine, India would need to shell out money to the tune of $1.4 billion to $1.8 billion and put additional $30 to $60 million for transportation of this vaccine. So how do you see the kind of complexities that we have in India in terms of proceeding to get vaccinated for all the people?
Well, I'm sure in India also, historically, there are so many vaccines were given in the past. So I'm sure government will have kind of a mechanism or a kind of blueprint how to do this vaccination, and they will do it successfully. I'm sure about it. And cost is again, is government will probably bear it. And just like USA, the most of the cost is done by government of the day. So I think I would not worry about that. Only thing is it's little. People have to wait till their turn comes, and they should get it. And I'm sure I would suggest that they must get it.
Absolutely. And now we'll go to India with another concern, which is visible through multiple news media outlets in the form of thousands of farmers protecting, blocking roads. There is a kind of jam at several places in Delhi. And the conversation or dialogue between government and farmers has failed to reach any conclusion so far. It is over 22 days now. How do you see any potential solution in near future?
I think Prime Minister himself is involved now, and he's trying to educate the farmers and whether about this new deal, which is good for farmers in long run. But still, that deal has certain things, particularly in the Punjab and Haryana farmers, they may not agree because they may lose it a little bit initially. So I think ideally what they should do is to implement this new law in all the state except Punjab and Haryana, and then phase it out Punjab and Haryana into the new law in next 2 to 3 years. I think that's the best solution out of this.
I think what you say makes a lot of logical sense, but where we are right now is farmers are saying that nothing less than repealing of the three agricultural reform bills would
That's
satisfy them.
yeah, that's mainly the Punjab and Haryana farmers are saying.
Correct.
Other state farmers are not saying that. I mean, in the reality. So I think they should try to. That's the one suggestion that they should try to implement this law and in two phases. And if not, then they should try to be flexible and amend it for next few years, and then slowly phase it out. I mean, you know.
So there are two, three theories, or rather, schools of thought in this regard. Some people feel that the way this agitation has mobilized people who are not farmers, whether they are there for political gains, and pro-Khalistani forces, whether they are India or in America or Canada, etc., they've also become a part of it. So if government reverses its stand, it would show that anybody with this kind of strength demonstration may bring government down. So that is one way that it undermines the democratic authority of the parliamentary approved bills to be implemented. How do you see that? Is that one of the reasons which is preventing this to move forward?
Well, yes and yes, I guess so, because I mean, government has to uh, be firm on the democratically pass the bill, and that's what government is doing it. But I think in the fine print, I think I'm sure government will try to adjust some demand of the farmers, and it will end soon. I mean, this cannot go on forever anyway. So I think it should end, and it will end, and I'm sure there will be win-win situation for both the parties.
So what you are looking at is the positive scenario, and everybody would like that to happen. But I just bring to your attention again the Supreme Court also proposed that they have a committee which overviews it, etc. So that was also rejected. And I know I'm repeating it, but repeatedly by different leaders who are a part of this 40 organization coalition for this farmers agitation have said that nothing less than repeal. Uh, do you think government should consider that, or what is your opinion if you were talking to Prime Minister Modi?
Well, I think my opinion is to this new reform bill is a good for farmers in long run. It should be implemented, but as I say, that government should do in the two phases. Mainly, do it for all of the state except Punjab and Haryana in the beginning, and then slowly phase in Punjab and Haryana into the new bill in next 2 to 3 years time, and probably that will resolve the or that will kind of quiet down the farmers' agitation.
So now another question is about, call that rumor or misinformation resulting into this scene, as is mentioned by Prime Minister Modi himself recently, which means there is some lack of communication on the part of government to make people see where government is coming from and how it is going to play out for people who would be affected or who would be beneficiary of the new provisions. So would you consider an additional emphasis on the part of government to improve their communication apparatus?
I think so. I mean, they should improve the communication apparatus. They should also explain in advance to the party affected that how it's going to work, why it's good, why it's not good, and so forth. And also, before even making law, in making the reform into law, I think government should have consulted all the parties involved, as well as political leaders too, that way, and bring them in confidence. So this kind of situation doesn't arise.
So hopefully, moving forward, we won't see these kind of situations. But there are a few other angles to it. As you are aware, there are some forces which do not want progress of India. They also become a part of any movement where they see that they can play some role to harm India. And in that context, I mentioned the similarities between CAA and this agitation. That in that there were some radical Islamic forces who were taking over or hijacking, and here there are some pro-Khalistani forces. Now, how do you segregate the two? That the real issue is also addressed, and yet it doesn't reflect that these people who have hijacked or have made use of it uh, to propagate their agenda.
Well, I mean, government should expose them, those unwanted elements in the society, because in democracy, this kind of thing bound to happen, depending upon how sensitive issue is, what kind of communication people get, party involved. So they should deal with those unwanted elements very firmly, and but at the same time they must educate and communicate with the party involved or affected parties involved very extensively. And answer their questions rather than brushing aside. Otherwise, this can go on for a longer time. But I'm very hopeful that it eventually, in short time, it should resolve.
So that hope is also a wealth because when you work with positive mind, then you move towards solutions. Otherwise, you keep countering each other. But talking about solutions and talking about interference of some of the foreign governments with respect to this agitation, especially Canada, comes to my mind. So in that context, I am happy to bring to your attention that in a meeting between Foreign Minister of India and UK, UK has made its position clear that this is internal matter of India, which is true. And we are also expecting that UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson would be chief guest for this 2021 Republic Day parade. Talk to us about Indo-UK relationship presently.
Well, I think Indo-UK relationship is very good, actually, under the leadership of current Prime Minister of United Kingdom. And I think it's a long history between India and United Kingdom to have a very good, affectionate and very productive relationship with each other. And for both socially, politically and economically. And I'm sure it will be trade between India and UK will be much more in coming years. And since now United Kingdom is out of EU, so they have more freedom to make a trade deal with the different countries in different ways.
Very nice. And before we conclude, I also want to bring to your attention and to the attention of our viewers that some pro-Khalistani elements were protesting in support, so-called support for the Kisan agitation in Washington, D.C. in front of Indian Embassy. And they also misbehaved with the statue of the icon of non-violence and peace, Mahatma Gandhi. Some objectionable flags were also covered on the statue. Your response to this act?
Well, this kind of violation is not acceptable. It must be condoned universally.
Condemned.
And condemned universally, because those who are responsible should be punished, whatever form punishment is allowed. And because this kind of behavior is not acceptable. It is not. It should be kind of condemned, and it should be punished. That's what I think.
Yeah. I think your voice is also joining with many voice of Indian community leaders and important organizations who have condemned it. And indeed, when we refer to Mahatma Gandhi as Rashtrapita, that symbolizes the the respect and dignity of India also. As we conclude today's this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, Dr. Saab, your parting message words.
Well, dear friends, I would suggest that, this week that vaccines are out. Both the vaccines, one Pfizer and Moderna, will be out this Friday. Both vaccines are very safe, scientifically studied properly, has very effective and effectiveness. They both are equally effective, 95%, and there is not much side effect. So everyone should be encouraged to get this vaccine whenever their time comes to get one. And that's only way to curb this pandemic. And you must, everyone must cooperate in this whole vaccination situation. And please take your vaccine. It's very safe and it can save your life. So please do that. And again, thanks for joining this week. Goodbye. See you next week. God bless America. God bless India. And God bless Indian American community. Thank you.